So in previous episodes, I brought on my daughters and my husband to bring their perspective on jiu-jitsu. So it's from a children's perspective, a man's perspective, and a dad's perspective. So now I'm going to come on and give you my perspective as a woman, why I feel women should train jiu-jitsu specifically. So one is self-defense. Number one is self-defense. I would say I've always been competitive and been one that likes more rougher contact sports. So like I wanted to play football when I was younger. So jiu-jitsu feeds that rough contact that I enjoy just as an athlete. And so that speaks to the competitive nature for me. But as a self-defense for women, not every woman wants that. Not every woman is super competitive or wants like rough physical contact sports, or even enjoys working out intensely. Some women just don't like that. But outside of that, jiu-jitsu is awesome for self-defense and confidence and physical ability to protect yourself and your loved ones as a mother, to protect your children and being able to teach them how to protect themselves. There are other martial arts that you can train, and I'm not going to use this episode or platform to diss other martial arts or down other martial arts. My dad is a black belt in Taekwondo, so watching him compete, I will say I feel like it's changed. I felt like there was more full contact and more than just kicks when I watched him compete, and now it's changed a little bit. It kind of can sometimes resemble a competitive tag, and so, but again, I even still want to get my black belt in Taekwondo just to follow in my dad's footsteps. So this is not to diss any other martial arts or say that you shouldn't train any other martial arts. I'm just going to admit that I'm very biased on jiu-jitsu. Because if you go into a local jiu-jitsu gym that would allow you to watch a practice before you start, or even, have a trial run, you will see as a woman, there are a lot of positions when you are on the ground that are typically positions where women are going to be assaulted or be physically abused at, is on the ground, and there's certain positions, even standing, being taken down or grabbed, that jiu-jitsu really resembles, not on purpose, but it's just a part of the martial art that will cause you to be able to know how to get yourself out of those situations. It's a perfect martial art that teaches you how to disable someone who's bigger than you. I am barely 5'3", and depending on the day, I'm either 119 or 122. So I fluctuate anywhere between that. And I'm able to roll with my husband, who's 6'2", about 190, 195, and be able to some days, excusing that he's a man, be able to handle myself, and sometimes be able to tap him. Obviously he's a man, so there's a strength difference and a size difference, but there's also, it's different rolling with your jiu-jitsu partners or your husband, where you're not trying to, it's not a life or death situation. In a life or death situation, I believe and I trust that I would be able to use the jiu-jitsu moves that I've learned to be able to get myself out of the situation. I'm not one to go around and say that I would beat a man up, maybe an untrained man, not, as physically strong on the street, that's similar to my size or maybe just a little bit bigger. But I know for sure that even if somebody was bigger and a little bit stronger, I have moves that I've been taught that even being smaller, you can use to at least get out of the situation. Even if it's not completely beating the person, there's different positions that you can choke them and put them to sleep. You could on the street, if you needed to, injure a limb to get away. And I'm trying to be very respectful with the words that I'm using, so that YouTube or any other platform that feels offended by certain words that it doesn't get taken down, but you can get the idea, especially if you, and I'll place some, for the video version of this, I will place some jiu-jitsu rolls that I've done both with other women and with men throughout this video, so that you can see what I mean, that there's different positions where you're put on your back, that you used certain moves to get yourself from underneath the person, or you use their momentum or their movement to get them and roll them off of you, even if they are bigger. And so I really highly encourage jiu-jitsu for women to try it out. Just go somewhere, find a good gym, ask people around you that you may know that train or know people that train, and call around and just visit more than one gym and see how comfortable you feel, and try and find a gym that allows you at least one trial class or a week trial class, so that you can at least feel what it's like. And it is a male dominated sport, so not very often are you going to find an all women's class. There are places that offer that, but not all the time, because it is more of a male dominated sport. And honestly, as a woman, I actually think it's better to train with men. One, because it builds your physical strength, because you are going against a male, and it's more realistic, because you're more than likely, if you were to be assaulted or harmed on the street in those specific situations, it will be more likely a man. And so it resembles more of what it would feel like to have to maneuver yourself from somebody who is bigger and stronger than you and a male. So it is also good. For me, I would speak from a competitive side. Being a competitor in the sport, it is nice to roll with other women, because it does become more realistic in a competitive way. How do I roll with a woman? There's certain things that's like, man, that was really hard with this guy, versus I go with this girl who might weigh the same, and I'm like, oh, that was a lot easier, because it's just different, and it's hard to explain until you do it. There's just a difference between rolling with a man and a woman. So I personally encourage that you roll with both. And sometimes, and most of the time, honestly, I think it's good to roll with more men than women, just specifically. If you're trying to train self-defense and things like that, it's definitely more challenging to roll with a man. And so I would definitely encourage to just go and trial run it and see how it feels. And maybe you do feel more comfortable starting with a women's class. Maybe that's your introduction, is to, okay, you know what, I'm gonna start with women because I'm not comfortable. Maybe you've already been through a situation where rolling with a man would bring back memories, or something that would trigger you emotionally and mentally to not want to do it. So I also want to be sensitive to that too, but I would encourage you to start somewhere. Start with, if there are females, maybe only train with females at first, or see if they have a women's class, and then go from there, see where you're at, but at least start somewhere with your training in jiu-jitsu. So just starting somewhere with this training, I would just encourage as a woman, honestly, sincerely. It just changes your confidence. It changes even your physical ability, your physical physique. You'll see just changes. There's plenty of people, male and female, that have come into jiu-jitsu, overweight or whatever, and have lost weight and have said, I feel so much better. I can move different. And there's a healthy aspect to it too, of just moving your body in different ways that you normally would not move. But I just sincerely encourage it for women from a self-defense aspect. And then coming from a competitor where there's not as many women, especially being a smaller woman, when you go into these competitions, it's not very many of us. So they end up having to squish us all together. So you end up having to go with somebody who's 40 pounds bigger or less than you, or a different belt than you. Like the competition selection for women, especially here in Minnesota, it's small. You end up seeing the same people all the time. You're like, man, I already beat her several times, already lost to her several times. Like, I already know how this is going to go, which it doesn't always go that way. There's been plenty of people that you can lose to, and then you're like, hey, it was my day today, or constantly beat them and they catch you. So it's from a competitor's side. It's like, yes, more women, let's do this, like join for the competitive reasons too, because we need that. We need to see more women competing out here. But more importantly than that, it's the self-defense aspect of it. If you can start younger, great. But if you are older, whatever older is to you, start. It's not too late. Jiu Jitsu is, I will say, a martial arts that you can control the pace, especially if you're in a good gym. Let me say that. If you are in a good gym where it's not a bunch of people who are full of ego and out to prove themselves today, you can find a place that meets you where you're at and helps you where you're at and gets you to where you want to go at the pace that you want to go. That's where you go. Find a place that will do that for you if you are older, and train with younger people that are respectful to that of, hey, I'm older and I got injuries and I'm just here to learn how to protect myself, and if you can go to a place that makes you feel comfortable, say, okay, we'll meet you where you're at. You don't have to come here to be a competitor, because there are those schools that's all they focus on. They don't want nobody that is coming in here for self-defense. We are here to compete. We're a team and we're going out to compete, and you're going to come in here and you're going to roll hard every day. That's not for you. There's more than one gym, I'm sure, locally for you. But if not, maybe there's somebody that would be willing to, train you one-on-one. I know I do one-on-ones where I'm at. So if you're locally where I'm at and want to try it, and I'd be happy to introduce you or have you come to my school, which trains, they give you a free week training, and the environment is great there. It's the head coach, Derek Barlow, doesn't allow meathead mentality, let me tell you. So it's strict, but in a healthy way. And it also, he teaches you from the self-defense aspect, but he also teaches you from the competitive aspect. So, he'll show a move and say, now on the streets, this is what you would do. But then in a competition where there's rules and regulations, this is what you would do. So he's really good at blending that together, and it's just a good environment. There's about 5 women, I think 4 to 5 women, including myself, that are consistent in training. And we have women come in kind of in and out. You can tell people who are still trying it or not sure or, whatever. But consistently, there's about 4 to 5 women that train there. So, but yeah, so I just really want to encourage women, try jujitsu. Hopefully for the video version of this that, you can see what it looks like to both, again, compete, what it looks like to just roll with men and women, and kind of give you an idea and a snippet of what it looks like, and start somewhere, because I was very uncomfortable as a married woman when I went into it, of like, you go into these situations and you roll with a guy, and you'll see it's a very close contact sport, and you got body parts in your face that you're like, I don't think that's supposed to be there, or your hand kind of, might slip and go certain places, both on men and women. You're like, but then you start to see, especially if it's in a really good gym and there's not weird creeps there, and you'll sense them right away, or somebody will let you know, like, hey, don't roll with that person. But we don't have that at my gym. I can tell you that right now. But you learn after a while, like, I need to get out of this situation. I don't care what I need to do, because on the streets, you're not going to be worried about, you're going to be like, no, I need to do whatever I need to do to get out of this situation. And that's what happens. Your mentality completely changes. And again, me being super competitive, I got over that real quick. Like, hold up, because I was worried about whatever my hand placement or where your hand placement was or whatever. I just got choked, or I got my arm almost broke off. Hold up, let's redo that again. And I don't care at this point. So your mentality changes as you start to grow a comfort level and to see the positives of learning the sport, and you get past all of that. And again, if you go to a nice gym, especially as a woman, which I plan on doing an episode on how to find, what do you look for at a good gym, because I've trained at 2 gyms my whole career. I've been training for 9 years now, and There's things that I overlooked at my first gym that would have made me leave sooner than what I did if I would have took the time to see things that you shouldn't have to deal with at a gym. And you shouldn't be put in certain situations, whether male or female, but especially as a female at a gym. And I want to do that in a respectful way that doesn't bash my old gym, because I learned a lot from them, but also using my experience to save others from dealing with the same situation. Again, respectfully trying to do that. So that's why I'm trying to decide when I want to do that episode, because I can be a little too transparent, and yeah, I don't want to do it in a bitter way. So, but again, that's for a different show. So yeah, I hope this encourages you to go check it out, and maybe in the comments or something, let me know like, hey, I tried out a gym today, or what do you think about this? I went into this gym and this is how it felt, or, I want to really encourage women to get into jiu-jitsu again, for both self-defense and for competitive reasons. It just would be great. And being a mother, it's really been an example for my girls, and they're doing it with me. And it's now it's a whole family thing. My husband does it. We all do it, So, but with that, I just want to leave you with this. Pray without ceasing, nurture your family, and continue to train like a war machine.